previews. WTTW Chicago, take 69, number 439, director Voight, recorded July 22nd, 1982.
Ever since we started this, I have been ill. I have headaches, stomach aches. I get the chills. My gums are bleeding, and my hair keeps falling out into the sink.
So?
Bill, let me try to explain this to you. As we sit here and idly chat, there are women, female human beings, rolling around in strange beds with strange men, and we are making money from that.
Is this a great country or what?
That's Michael Keaton trying to talk Henry Winkler into supplementing his income as a morgue attendant by becoming a pimp in Night Shift, one of 4 new movies we'll be reviewing on Sneak Previews. Across the aisle from me, Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And this is Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune. The other films we'll be reviewing this week will include Xica, a sexy slice of history from Brazil, Smash Palace, a New Zealand film about a father's fight for custody of his daughter, and An Officer and a Gentleman with Richard Gere as a naval officer candidate. He's in love and he's in trouble. But Gene starts with Night Shift.
Well, except for one very good performance, and you saw it right there at the beginning, Night Shift could have been a Dog of the Week. This movie stars Henry Winkler as a mild-mannered New York City morgue attendant who is harassed at home by a wild watchdog and bored at home by a sexually dull fiancé. Winkler also has another problem. His new assistant at the morgue is a wild man. How wild? Just watch.
Jumpin' Jack Flash. Hi. How you doing? I'm Bill Blazejowski. You call me Billy Blaze. You must be Chuck, right? Nice shoes. Hey, this is all right. Guess this is where I'm going to be working. I'm your new partner. Swish! Ah, they're going crazy in the arena. They can't believe it. It's unbelievable. This is great. What's our job? We'd like drive around, pick up stiffs, or what? Is that what we're supposed to do? Hey, Chuck, who's this? Wife?
Fiancé.
Oh. Nice frame. Yeah, okay. We can make stuff. We can read. Coffee. This is great. I like it. You wonder why I carry a tape recorder? It's to tape things. See? I'm an idea man, Chuck. All right? I get ideas all day long. I can't control them. It's like they come charging in. I can't even fight them if I wanted to, you know? So I say them in here, and that way I never forget them. See what I'm saying? Okay, here's an example. Watch out. Stand back. This is Bill. Idea to eliminate garbage. Edible paper. See? Eat it, it's gone. Eat it, it's out of there. No garbage. Got everything in here. Business ideas, inventions, musicals. I wrote a couple musicals in here.
Would you like to see the rest of the office?
Yeah. Hey, you want Snickers? No, thank you. It's not frozen because my refrigerator broke.
I understand.
That was Michael Keaton in a very funny characterization in his first feature film. He's been on television a lot. He has a bright future in the movies, I think. And his character has what he thinks is a bright idea. He and Winkler will go into the prostitution business as managers, as pimps, running a string of hookers out of the morgue. Of course, they're going to be nice pimps, and then they're going to only take a small percentage of the women's money, and they're going to set up a profit-sharing plan, And you might expect Winkler falls in love with a hooker with a heart of gold. And he falls in love with her at her apartment, Shelley Long. Let's take a look.
you know, it's worse in the summer. My God.
I'll put my robe back on.
Oh, no, don't. What I mean is that you should be comfortable. I am.
Okay.
I'll get that. That's probably for me. Hello? Charlotte? Why'd you call me? What's the matter? You ate what? Well, that's okay. Just don't do it again. What do you mean, what am I doing? I'm not doing anything. Well, of course I sound strange if you call me up early in the morning and you say, what am I doing? And I'm not doing anything. Oh, my God. I just stepped on a tack. Yeah, I love you, too.
As you can see, this film is quite stupid, more of a 10-year-old situation comedy than a current feature-length movie, with lightweight performances and tired comedy bits. The only saving grace was, for me, this Michael Keaton as crazy Bill Blazkowski. I'll remember his character, I think, long after I forget Night Shift, which was immediately when I left the screening room.
Okay. Well, you remember it well enough now to dislike it. I also like Shelley Long's performance as the hooker with a heart of gold who lived next door. Thought she was kind of sweet and a little bit.
Not much of a character there. You know.
Well, there's not much of a character in this movie.
Yeah.
This movie is, as you suggest, a situation comedy, and I think it's episode heavy. I think too many different things happen in the movie, and none of them really depend upon who the characters are, what they're trying to do, or any changes they're trying to make. It's just, let's do this and then do this, and it becomes, for an average-length film, it becomes real long in your imagination as you're sitting there thinking, how much longer is this going to go on?
Yeah, you also have this one character, this Bill Blazkowski, who is always talking about things, current things, topical material, and he's very much of the moment, very current kind of character now. The rest of the movie is old bits. It's set in New York City, and yet it looks like it's set in TV comedy land. He's the only guy that walks through this place that looks like he's 1982. The rest of it is just off. I don't know.
Also, didn't you think it was kind of an unlikely subject for a comedy?
Yeah.
I mean, you really think prostitution is that funny?
Or doing it out of a morgue?
Yeah, in order to make prostitution funny, I think you have to ignore the entire subject and just treat it as you would in a situation comedy.
But, you know, if it's funny enough, we wouldn't be objecting to it. This isn't funny, so you notice things like that.
Okay. To move right along, in the last few years, there's been a whole series of good and great films from Australia. And now we have Smash Palace, which is the first really great film from New Zealand. The movie tells the story of a world champion Grand Prix driver who retires from racing after his father dies, and he goes back to the rural area of New Zealand where his father had a garage named the Smash Palace. He takes the garage over, and partially because he wanted to spend more time with his family, and especially with a young daughter that he had rather late in life. In this scene, he takes his daughter hunting.
Right in the middle of the crosshairs.
Yeah.
Okay, pull the trigger.
Did I get it?
No.
Good.
Alan! Alan!
Jackie!
Georgie's missing.
They went out hunting.
Thank God she's all right.
Yeah, Al and Georgie were in a while ago and they picked up the rifle.
The wife is tired of living in the boonies. She leaves her husband and moves into town where she has an affair with a local policeman. And her ex-husband behaves more and more passionately and erratically when he fears he'll lose the custody fight for his daughter. In this scene, in desperation, he kidnaps her.
Georgie! My... Don't play around like that. If you can't eat with these chopsticks...
Georgie, grab Teddy and get in the truck.
You better do as your father says.
I don't want to go.
Get into the truck.
Do as your father says.
Get into the truck.
I don't want to go.
Move.
What are you doing, Al?
Get in. Ow! Stupid bugger! Stay there!
Daddy, please slow down, please. Will I get into trouble for staying away from school?
That's Bruno Lawrence as the girl's father. One of the best things about Smash Palace is that after that act of kidnapping, the movie does not develop into a routine police melodrama as we might have expected. Instead, every moment of this film is controlled by the director Roger Donaldson in such a way that we pay attention to the specific human motivations of the characters. I got really deeply involved in Smash Palace because I never thought the characters were being manipulated by standard plot requirements. They were spontaneous, alive, and open to the challenges of the moment. And Smash Palace is one of the best films I've seen about a marriage in turmoil. It's a lot better than the overrated Shoot the Moon of earlier this year. And the movie's performance by Bruno Lawrence, an actor I've never seen before, is strong and very special.
I think it's a very fine film, too, and I think it's a good comparison you make with Shoot the Moon. I think both films, I like Shoot the Moon a little bit better than you, I think both films show the pain of a relationship breaking apart. This is not a comedy situation. These people are hurting very badly. There's a beautiful shot in this film. It's sort of a high-angle shot of these two on a bed, the husband and wife, after he's forced himself on her sexually, and you see these two faces, and they are very much in pain. The film is excellent in that way. The only thing that bugged me, my only objection to the film, is a very slapdash ending that I felt cheated me out of all the energy I'd put into the picture up until that point. Other than that, I think it's excellent.
It's funny because I like the ending. I felt that it was unexpected and spontaneous, that instead of developing in a way that would have been expected in that situation, which I suppose we better not reveal, in real life, it seems to me sometimes things can just turn on you and people will behave in an unexpected way, and that's what happens. That's what I thought the ending was saying, was that these are real people. They behave in unpredictable manner.
Well, that's our only quarrel. Otherwise, it's an excellent film. Our next film is called Xica. I think it's very good, too. And like the Evita Peron story, Xica tells the tale of a poor young woman who becomes a national figure. The time is the second half of the 18th century. The place, rural Brazil, the diamond mining country there. And Xica is the name of a black slave woman who drives men crazy sexually. For example, she drives her old master crazy and his son, and here she seduces the new man sent by the government of Portugal to run the Brazilian diamond industry.
O senhor fez o último recolhimento de impostos?
Bem, na verdade, estamos pouco atrasados.
Em números, por favor.
Em números, claro. Eu vou lhe dizer uma coisa, senhor contratador. O pessoal de Lisboa vive pedindo urgência nos impostos do ouro e dos diamantes, acreditando nessas histórias que andam contando por aí. Mas aqui entre nós, aqui não há tanta pedra assim, não. O povo exagera muito, sabe?
Por falar nisso, eu gostaria de conhecer melhor uma história que andei ouvindo. É sobre o roubo de um cofre da intendência.
Bem, isso aí...
Não pode, mas eu preciso ir mais jantar. Que ousadia! Meu Deus! Senhor, meu amor, me desculpe a pressa. Mas é que eu tinha de vir logo dizer uma coisa para o senhor. Espero não ser incômoda. É que seu filho José está me perseguindo dia e noite sem parar. Só porque eu deitei com ele outro dia e fiz aquelas coisas que meu amo gosta muito, agora ele diz que não pode mais viver sem meus dengos e favores.
Xica!
Parece até o senhor meu amo.
Xica!
Quando diz que a vida não tem jeito sem aquelas coisas que só a sua Xica sabe fazer.
Xica!
Quer dizer, as coisas que eu sei fazer, uai. Dançar, cantar, cantar cafuné, bater bolo, fazer massagem. E todas aquelas coisas que meu senhor fica louco quando eu faço. E tudo na medida que meu senhor gosta.
Mas não é possível.
Que ousadia.
Xica, pelo amor de Deus.
Mas com José foi só por gentileza minha, que a sua Xica é fiel ao meu amo. O único homem que eu conheci. Quer dizer, fora José naquele outro dia,
Leva,
né?
leva ela.
Vamos embora.
Cabeça.
He falls hard for Xica, played by Zizi Mata, and he gives her her wealth and freedom and more wealth until Xica becomes a queen of sorts. Now, word of what's happening in the territory reaches the King of Portugal, which controls Brazil this time, and he dispatches a count to the territory who at first is not the least bit impressed by Xica.
Seja bem-vindo à nossa terra, senhor Conde.
Major, venha ver. É a negra de quem tanto falam na corte. Ela não é lá muito formosa, mas dizem que tem parte com demônio. Aliás, se fala muito que a senhora, sua esposa, em Lisboa, anda preocupada com uma certa malversação dos bens familiares. Parece que o senhor andou se excedendo com as cartas de alforria. Entre outras coisas, é claro.
Para que as coisas fiquem bem claras, Sr. Conde, eu o advirto que eu e Xica da Silva...
Para que as coisas fiquem bem claras. Eu pensei que o senhor as preferisse escuras.
Quer dizer que o senhor Conde não se agrada da minha cor. Ele preferia que eu fosse branca, feita essa barata descascada aí.
Xica.
Não se preocupe, João Fernandes. Farei tudo para agradar o senhor, fiscal da corte. Farei tudo para agradar esse dom não sei o que lá.
Peraí. Dom José Luiz de Menezes Abrantes, Castelo Branco de Noronha, Conde de Valadares.
João Fernandes, você não me disse que vinha tanta gente assim, uai. Nem sei se vai ter lugar para todo mundo.
Essa é boa, essa é boa, essa é boa. Não? Não é? Não.
Eventually, he too falls for Xica, and we know that that is through the film's running joke, which tells us that Xica knows some special sexual tricks that make men scream wildly. And there's a lot of screaming in this movie. It's kind of funny. Xica is the new film by Carlos Diegas, whose last film was a very entertaining Bye Bye Brazil. He made Xica before. And Xica is every bit as joyful as that film. It's a fanciful bit of history showing that individual enterprise can sometimes turn around or bypass a social system, especially if you have a great body like Xica's. I thought it was very entertaining, and I usually find historical costume dramas to be absolutely phony, but not Xica.
It wasn't phony, and it wasn't really historical. In a sense, it was modern in its attitudes, and some of the dialogue didn't bother me at all. That performance is magnificent. The woman is hypnotizing. She's mesmerizing, and all of these people follow her around like moths around the flame of a candle. It's really a fun film, and yet I think there's also a serious message underneath, which is that even though she gets her own freedom, because her society isn't free, her own freedom really doesn't mean anything.
Well, she also is trying to link up with another man, an outlaw in the country, and this is the most interesting aspect of the film, too, and how she relates to a genuine rebel as to her own kind of more quiet subversion, and whether or not by taking part of the system for her own and some of the riches from their own, she can be as free as the man who operates independently. I think there's a lot of thought to the film. I also think she is riveting as an individual and as an actress.
This film is just going into release right now around the country. In fact, I think it's just having its world premiere in Chicago. And if you think about the other Brazilian films we've talked about, Bye Bye Brazil, Gaijin, Peixoto, and now Xica, this, I wonder if people are picking up on the fact that there are a lot of good movies coming out of Brazil now.
Well, I hope so, because they are.
Now we come to An Officer and a Gentleman, a rare sort of film. This is an unabashed love story that's not only intelligent, not only heartbreaking, but also has something to say about the way we live, about the values we bring to romance. The movie stars Richard Gere as a young man who doesn't have much going for him at the beginning of the movie. He hardly remembers his mother, his father is a drunk and a drifter, but when he gets accepted into the Navy's officer candidate school, his life is changed forever by two relationships that begin in boot camp. One of them is with a young local girl, a factory worker, played by Deborah Winger, and the other one is with his tough Navy drill sergeant, played by Lou Gossett.
6 inches off the ground. Now give me 6 to 90. Hey, Neil, why don't we quit this little charade of yours over a couple of beers over 2 days? Come on, man. You're about as close to being office material as me.
Sir, this candidate believes it would make a good officer.
No way, Mayo, no way. You don't give a about anybody but yourself. And every one of your classmates knows it. You think they trust you behind the controls of a plane that they'd have to fly in? Come on, man, I picture you as the kind of guy that would zip off one day in my F-14 and sell it to the Cubans, right?
No, sir. No, sir. I love my country.
Sell it to the Air Force, Mayo. Sell it to the Air Force. Talk to me. Now, why would a slick little hustler like you want to sign up for this kind of abuse anyway?
I want to fly jets, sir.
My grandmama wants to fly jets.
I wanted since I was a kid.
We're not talking about flying here. We're talking about character.
I've changed. I've changed since I've been here.
Hell, you have.
I've changed, sir.
No, you just polished up your afro a little bit. You just shined it up. Now tell me what I want to hear. I want your D.O.R.
No, sir.
I want your D.O.R.
I ain't gonna quit.
Spell it. D.O.R.
I ain't gonna quit.
Yeah, then you can be free, and you and your daddy can get drunk and go hole chasing together, huh?
No, sir.
D.O.R.
I ain't gonna quit.
All right, then you can forget it. You're out.
Don't you do it. Don't you. I got nowhere else to go.
The DOR is his voluntary release. The drill sergeant wants him to volunteer to leave the service, but he's not going to do that. Lou Gossett gives a wonderful performance in this movie. I wonder if you could see in that scene, he somehow manages to let you know he cares about this guy while he still keeps up that sadistic, hard-as-nails drill sergeant's exterior. Well, while Richard Gere's in training, he meets the other person who's going to change his life. She's a local woman. Like a lot of the local girls, she'd like to marry a Navy officer. So she attends a reception on the naval base.
So, what kind of a name is Grifky?
Polish. What kind of a name is Mayo?
Italian. My mom was Irish.
Nothing.
I think I got her ears. Yeah. The rest is all WAP.
Yeah? Where are you from, Mayo the WAP?
Everywhere, nowhere. Call of the Polar.
Seriously?
Seriously. My father's a rear admiral, 7th Fleet.
You're kidding.
No, we lived in ports all over the world. Kathmandu, Moscow, Nairobi.
Really? God, I've never been out of Washington. Wait a minute. You're kidding me, right? We don't have any naval bases in Moscow. No, I don't think so. So, you got a girl, Mayo the what?
No. I ain't looking for one either.
What are you looking for?
I think you can begin to see there the beginning of the chemistry between Richard Gere and Deborah Winger. And this movie has chemistry, and I don't mean Hollywood chemistry, I mean chemistry. At the beginning of An Officer and a Gentleman, Richard Gere is a loner with a loser's mentality. He puts up a tough front, but the Navy is really the only place where he even halfway belongs and where he can grow. The drill sergeant turns him into a man, the woman turns him into a human being, and by the end of the movie, Gere has undergone 2 transformations. He's become an officer, and he's become a gentleman. This is the best American love story I've seen in a long time. It's well acted, it's written and directed with intelligence and sensitivity. Unlike all good love stories, it has a great final scene that has you smiling through the tears. A great last scene.
It is a terrific last scene, and I think that this is the kind of picture that a lot of people have been waiting for. American movie industry has ignored one category of film, I'd say, in the last decade more than any other, and that is the old, reliable love story.
Right, a boy and a girl falling in love instead of all kinds of bizarre subplots, or they're fighting, they're breaking up, they're involved in...
Or problem marriages and divorce actions and all this. This is a wonderful story, and it has, against the love story, this growing up, as you mentioned, of this young man who is been only out for himself, and through the training of Lou Gossett, learns to care for the other members of his group, and that allows him and frees him up to care for a woman. He doesn't want to trust her. She wants to trust him. He doesn't want to trust her.
You know, one of the things I like the most about this movie is that it took what is basically an old and even overworked situation, you know. Can these 2 people make a commitment to each other? Do they dare to love? Well, we've been through that in soap operas and on television and in countless movies and books. This movie makes it fresh. It gets right down to the basic question, which is, You know, are these two people willing to commit themselves to each other? And it's really interesting the way they think about it, they talk about it, they act one way, they try another way, and finally they make the jump.
But if it had only been about that, the picture would have collapsed in on itself.
That's true.
It has that whole level of the military, and the military sells the love story.
Hold on a minute, Gene. Here he is, Zeak the Wonder Dog, bounding into the balcony, jumping into the chair, sitting down, doing his trick,
and leaving,
jumping out of the chair, and introducing the Dogs of the Week, the week's worst movies.
Dog cannot be controlled. My dog this week is Dracula's Last Rites, and I wish it were so, if this is the future of vampire movies. This is the pathetic story of a bunch of New Jersey funeral operators who chase ambulances in the veins of the newly dead. Once they've got corpses on the slab, all of the funeral parlor attendants play musical teeth, elbowing each other out of the way to get at the victim's neck. We've seen Dracula lately as a glamorous man, as a haunted man, but what Dracula's Last Rites gives us is Dracula as a slimy funeral attendant. I always thought that vampires had to be in their coffins during the daytime, but not in Dracula's Last Rites. Everybody walks around in the daylight here. I guess it was cheaper that way. That nighttime shooting can really set you back a buck.
Well, my dog this week is Enter the Ninja, which stars Franco Nero. It's the story of, you remember Franco Nero?
Yes.
It's the story of a man who travels to Japan, apprentices himself to an ancient master of the art of ninja, studies many long and hard years under the ninja master, and finally masters the ancient art of ninja and goes off to the Philippines to beat up some thugs. I think the theory is that Enter the Ninja will inaugurate a new martial arts era after the judo of the 1950s, the karate of the 1960s, and the kung fu of the 1970s. Here comes this utterly new and fresh martial art. Well, I wish him a lot of luck, but no matter whether you call it karate, kung fu, or ninja, it all seems to boil down to people chopping each other up with their fists of vengeance and flying feet of revenge. And as for Franco Nero, remember him? He started out in Camelot as Sir Lancelot, and here he just uses his feet a lot.
Well, so much for the dogs. Now let's take another look at the main movies on this show. We both vote no on Night Shift, starring Henry Winkler as a morgue attendant who runs a call girl operation on the side. We like some of the movie's performances more than the plot, which was an endless parade of sitcom cliches. Two big yes votes, though, for Smash Palace, Roger Donaldson's New Zealand film about a retired Grand Prix driver who fights for possession of his daughter. This is a wonderful portrait of a man whose heart is in turmoil. Two yes votes for Xica de Silva, the lively and offbeat new film from Brazil about a slave who rules the heart of a colonial administrator. Zizi Mata gives an inspired and uninhibited performance as Xica, the seductive slave. And two more enthusiastic yes votes for An Officer and a Gentleman, one of the most provocative and heartbreaking American love stories in a long time. The movie centers around the utterly convincing performances of Richard Gere, Deborah Winger, and Lou Gossett.
That's all for this week. Join us next time on Sneak Previews when we'll take a look at 4 new movies, including The Road Warrior, a futuristic adventure film, and The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, starring Dolly Parton. Until then, we'll see you at the movies.
Funding for Sneak Previews was provided by this station and by other public television stations.